They say love comes when you least expect it. But no one talks about what happens when it comes at the worst possible time. This isn't a story about betrayal. It isn't about cheating. It's about timing. It's about guilt. It's about a heart that didn't plan to change. And it's about a woman who was already engaged to someone else when she met him. Emma had everything figured out. At least, that's what it looked like. She was 28. She had a stable job. A small apartment filled with warm lights and houseplants. And a fiancé named Daniel. Daniel was kind. Responsible. Predictable. He proposed on a quiet beach at sunset. No crowd. No spectacle. Just a ring and a promise. And she said yes. Because it made sense. Because she cared about him. Because he was safe. But love doesn't always ask if something makes sense. Sometimes it just happens. It was a rainy Tuesday when she met him. She was late for work, balancing coffee in one hand and her phone in the other, when she collided with someone turning the corner too fast. Coffee spilled everywhere. "Great," she muttered. "I am so sorry," a voice said. She looked up. And there he was. No dramatic music. No slow motion. Just brown eyes. Slightly messy hair. And the kind of smile that felt unguarded. His name was Lucas. He offered her his jacket to wipe the coffee off her blouse. She refused. He insisted. She rolled her eyes. He laughed. And for some reason, she laughed too. It was small. It meant nothing. Or at least, that's what she told herself. The universe has a strange sense of humor. Lucas turned out to be the new project consultant at her company. Different department. But same building. Same elevator. Same coffee machine. The first few days, it was polite smiles. Then casual conversations. Then shared lunches with co-workers. And then, the conversations started lingering. He asked her real questions. What makes you happy, Emma? What did you want to be when you were 10? When was the last time you did something just for yourself? Daniel never asked those things. Not because he didn't care, but because they were already settled. Life with Daniel was planned. Life around Lucas felt alive. One evening, they stayed late finishing a presentation. The office was quiet. The lights dim. Rain tapping softly against the windows again. Lucas looked at her hand. That's a beautiful ring. Her stomach tightened. She instinctively covered it. Thank you. I'm getting married. He nodded. A flicker of something crossed his face. Disappointment, maybe. But he smiled. His lucky. The words hit her harder than they should have. Because for the first time, she wondered if she felt lucky. That night, she went home and stared at herself in the mirror. Nothing is happening, she whispered. I'm just being stupid. She slid the ring off. Just for a second. And the absence felt louder than its presence. Daniel noticed she was distant. You seem tired, he said one night over dinner. I'm just stressed. Wedding planning stressing you out? She hesitated. Was it the wedding? Or was it the thought of forever? Daniel talked about their future house. Their future children. Their predictable Sundays. And suddenly, Emma felt like she was watching someone else's life. Not hers. That night, she lay awake next to him. And instead of imagining their wedding day, she imagined Lucas's laugh. And guilt wrapped around her chest like a tightening rope. It happened 3 weeks later. They were walking out of the building together when the power went out in the parking lot. Everything went dark. She startled. He instinctively reached for her hand. And neither of them pulled away. It was silent. Just their breathing. Emma, he said quietly. She knew what was coming. And she should have stopped it. I know you're engaged, he continued. And I respect that. I really do. He swallowed. But I can't pretend I don't feel something. Her heart pounded. Because she felt it too. And that was the problem. I don't want to complicate your life, he said. But meeting you, it changed something for me. Tears filled her eyes. Don't, she whispered. Don't what? Don't make this real. But it already was. 4 days, she avoided him. No lunches. No elevator rides. No lingering conversations. She told herself it would fade. That it was just infatuation. But every time her phone buzzed, She hoped it was him. Daniel finalized the wedding venue. Her mother cried from happiness on the phone. Everything was moving forward. Except her heart. Finally, she asked Lucas to meet her at a quiet cafe after work. He looked exhausted. Like he hadn't been sleeping either. "We can't keep doing this," she said. "I know." Silence. "I love him," she added quickly. Lucas nodded. "But are you in love with him?" The question shattered her. Because she didn't know anymore. That night, she did something terrifying. She told Daniel the truth. Not about every detail. Not about stolen glances or hand-holding. But about the confusion. About the doubt. "I don't know if I'm ready," she said, tears streaming down her face. Daniel looked like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. "Is there someone else?" She hesitated. And that hesitation was answer enough. The silence that followed was devastating. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just looked broken. "I thought we were solid," he whispered. "So did I." And sometimes, that's the most painful part. The engagement ended quietly. No dramatic fights. Just grief. Families disappointed. Friends confused. Emma moved out. The ring stayed in a small velvet box at the back of a drawer. She didn't run to Lucas. She didn't jump into his arms. Because this wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy. And healing takes time. Weeks passed. Then months. She learned how to be alone again. How to sit with silence without filling it. How to choose herself. One evening, she ran into Lucas at a bookstore. Of all places. He looked surprised. Then relieved. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi." No tension. No guilt. Just two people who had felt something real. "I heard about the wedding," he said carefully. "It's not happening." He nodded. "I'm sorry." "I'm not," she replied honestly. And for the first time, she meant it. They talked for hours that night. Not about destiny. Not about fate. But about growth. About fear. About timing. And this time, there were no rings between them. No shadows. No unfinished endings. Love isn't always about finding someone new. Sometimes it's about losing what was safe to find what is true. Emma didn't leave Daniel for Lucas. She left because she realized she wasn't fully there. And love, real love, deserves someone who is fully there. Months later, when Lucas finally held her hand again. It wasn't stolen. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't rushed. It was chosen. And that made all the difference. She was engaged to someone else. Then she met him. And in the end, it wasn't about choosing between two men. It was about choosing honesty. Choosing courage. Choosing the kind of love that doesn't feel safe. But feels right.